Hello and welcome. I'm the Theory Detective. In these lessons, we'll uncover the mystery of music theory. Now, when we think about music, oftentimes we think about scales and chords, because many songs are built out of scales and chords. So let's start with the scales. If you notice, I have a series of notes here: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C again. These notes all together, one after another, are in steps. Let me show you how that's, or let me play that for you so you can hear what that sounds like. This is what we call the C major scale. Major because it has the major sound. Hear it again, the first three notes. This gives the major sound. Now, if you had a lowered note for the third note, that would be the minor sound. Instead, we're going to work with the major sound. So we call this the C major scale. Scale meaning a series of notes one after the other. We're going to have a starting note, and then the finishing note or the top note will actually be the same. You can do scales ascending, going up, or you can do descending, going down. Now the C scale is really awesome because it's based on all the original name notes, meaning that we don't use accidentals or the sharps and flats that raise notes or lower notes. Instead, we only use what would be the white notes or the notes at the bottom, the name notes on the piano or the organ, keyboard instruments that are very visual. So that way, all you have to do is learn the basic letter name notes, and you can play the C major scale. So we're going to figure out what are the distance between each of these notes so we can then find out how to make other scales, other major scales as well. Let's start with, we do red. From C to D, now from the major sound, we know that that's a whole step, that's a larger step. This would be a half step, and this would be a whole step. So from C to D, there's a note in between that would be the black note or the raised note. We would have to have a sharp or a flat to get that. Because we don't have a sharp or a flat, then everything is natural, everything is the regular name note. So we only have to deal with the white notes at the bottom or the original name notes, the white notes meaning in keyboard instruments. So this here is the whole step from C to D, and from D to E, another whole step. But remember, from E to F, we don't have an extra note. We don't have a name note. Listen to it. We don't have an accidental, a raised note. That's a half step. It's very small. So I'm going to go ahead and give a big H for half step. Now then, from F to G, this would be the raised note. See how close they are? F to G, listen, they're a little further apart. So this would be the whole step. G to A, another whole step. This would be the half step. It's smaller. This would be the whole step. So G to A is also a whole step. Now if you remember, there were actually two half steps when you have the name notes. From E to F, there's no raised note or accidental in between. And then also from B to C. Listen to that as well. There you are. That is a half step. That's a little tiny interval. So I'll go ahead and put the big H for half step, and between A and B another whole step. So now we have this pattern: whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And that gives us our major scale. And we can transport or transfer this sound into another key or into another scale. We call that transposition. If we want to start on G instead of C, we can do the same sound. This is C major scale. Make it a little bit higher, or a little bit louder. And this is if I started on G. So we can transpose it. But once we transpose it or change it from a C to a different starting note, we then have to start adding in accidentals or sharps or flats. So we'll deal with those in our next lesson. For now, let's take a look at this one in bass clef. The scale isn't just for the treble clef, it can also be for the bass clef as well, or any clef for that matter. There's a C to D, that's a whole step. D to E, another whole step. E to F, another half step. F to G, a whole step. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. And B to C is our other half step. Remember, the only two half steps we have when we have no accidentals are actually between the E and the F and the B and the C. Those are our only two half steps without accidentals or sharps or flats altering a note to be raised higher in pitch, or to be lowered with flats, lower in pitch. So I guess that's it for scales. So this is the C major scale. I'll go ahead and write that here. C major. And if you have note cards to make flashcards, go ahead and write out C major scale. And then on the reverse side, write the scale out: C, D, E, F, G, A, B. You can write C again if you like to cap out the scale, but know that it has 7 notes, so C is just repeated. And then the major scale, memorize this pattern: whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step. The more you're able to memorize it, the faster it comes, and then you can apply it more easily to other scales. And as always, have a great day.